Imagine finishing a presentation at a sterile boardroom table and watching coworkers pull out phones to grade your flaws on an app. This happens every day at Bridgewater Associates, a firm that manages over $150 billion in assets. The architect of this culture is Ray Dalio. He started trading out of a two-bedroom apartment and eventually built the largest hedge fund in history. We are going to break down the exact mechanics of Dalio's system and look at how engineering a perfectly ego-free workplace can trigger some highly unexpected consequences. To understand the system, you have to look at the problem it was designed to solve. In a typical corporation, human ego acts as a shield. People protect their feelings, they hide their mistakes, and obscure the truth to survive. To tear down those shields, Dalio created what he calls an idea meritocracy, a workplace where the only currency that matters is the absolute, unfiltered truth. But human beings aren't naturally wired for absolute truth. To get them there, Dalio couldn't rely on intuition or HR seminars. He had to build a machine. The engine of this machine runs on two core principles: radical truth and radical transparency. In practice, this means employees are explicitly forbidden from filtering their opinions. When someone makes a mistake or has a bad idea, everyone else is expected to point it out. The transparency is absolute. Every single meeting inside the company is recorded, archived, and made available for any employee to listen to. However, just because everyone has access to the information doesn't mean everyone's opinion carries the same weight. Dalio noticed that standard corporate democracy often produces mediocre results, simply because expertise isn't evenly distributed across a room. To fix this, he engineered believability weighting. Votes on strategies are multiplied by historical track records. This is measured by the Dot Collector app. Colleagues constantly rate each other, generating a baseball card that quantifies every employee's strengths and flaws for anyone to see. Take a second and think about your own coworkers. If they generated a public baseball card for you right now, what weaknesses do you think would be exposed? Let me know in the comments. Dalio successfully built an algorithm to measure and utilize human value. On paper, it sounds like the ultimate defense against office politics. But what is it actually like to live inside the machine? The entire system rests on a single equation coined by Dalio: pain plus reflection equals progress. He developed this formula out of necessity. In 1982, he made a series of massively incorrect market predictions that nearly bankrupted Bridgewater. Forced to lay off his entire staff, he used that painful failure to build the strict, systematic rules that govern the firm today. But applying a personal probing mechanism to thousands of employees yields very different results. Investigative reporter Rob Copeland spent years speaking to former employees for his book, The Fund, and the culture he documented is jarring. The mandate to constantly reflect on pain meant employees faced intense daily interrogations. They were required to pass exhaustive tests to prove they had memorized Dalio's exact rulebook, known as the principles. According to Copeland, the firm frequently utilized what are known as MC cycles, sessions where an individual's flaws were dissected openly in front of colleagues. The stated goal was to break down the ego, forcing the employee to publicly accept their own inadequacies. Instead of fostering honest debate, critics argue radical transparency created an environment of constant surveillance. When every action is recorded and rated, stepping out of line or questioning the founder's logic carries severe social and professional penalties. The initial goal of the idea meritocracy was to destroy office politics by distributing truth evenly. But forcing everyone into a rigid system of recorded compliance didn't eliminate power dynamics. It just centralized all the power entirely around Ray Dalio. Which brings us to the ultimate test of Bridgewater's model. Can you actually run a company of human beings like a computerized algorithm? There is no denying the raw efficiency of the tools. Tracking thousands of data points through baseball cards and the Dot Collector exposes genuine weaknesses and biases that most companies ignore. However, using public exposure and constant surveillance to brute force behavioral alignment does not eliminate the human ego. It merely drives it underground. When employees know that every word is archived and every reaction is graded by an app, their behavior adapts to survive the algorithm. The sheer fear of public humiliation can easily be mistaken for perfect alignment. Dalio insists that total openness is the only path to the truth. Yet, as former employees speak out and the inner workings of his firm are heavily scrutinized, it forces us to wonder if his legacy can withstand the very transparency he demanded of everyone else. If you want to see how other massive organizations try to manipulate human behavior, check out our next breakdown on workplace psychology right here. And don't forget to subscribe.